Okay, so I think the one last thing that I have left on my list for this whole annoying, like, notebook thing is the pens. And I've got a lot of pens, like a whole, like, 3 cups of pens and more than that, and highlighters.
Fetish.
And there's some pencils mixed in. So the thing is with, pencils is I don't have very many of them because there's something about the permanence of pens that, I don't know, yeah, I could erase it and what all, but for the most part, I've been using pens because they stick a bit longer. Most of the time, they smudge a bit less, and they're a bit more permanent, so they're gonna stick around longer, so it's like you're leaving something behind, a bit more permanent than a pencil, but pencils do have their place for certain stationery. I admit that, and, like, there are certain cases where, yeah, a pencil is really nice. So I've got a couple pencils, but for the most part, we're focusing on pens. So everybody knows their basic ballpoint pen. So, like, this is one, like, it's just a retractable pen. I've got a fair number of those pens. So anybody that's been to any, like, office, any, like, promo thing or anything at all has picked up a branded pen, ballpoint pen. And it's just unavoidable. These are your basically like 50-cent pens pretty much, or less than that. And in some cases, some are fancier than others. They've got a nice stylus nib on them, whether on the tip or on the end there. So, and of course they don't have any erasers. You know, you get them with, whether it be a notebook, a backpack, or what have you. And they're just there to take up space and say, hey, we care about you, here, take our pen. And, I mean, even, I think this one's really cool from UPS when I was doing that. Like, the twist and turn ones, you don't see that very much anymore, but it's still really cool, the different ways that they do it, but for the most part, you're finding it push-click, which is, you get those guys in a class and they're sitting there. But yeah, so for the most part, these pens are pretty, I mean, usually they're a smooth writing experience. They're going to stick around for a bit, things like that. So I could take each of these pens that I've used from in one form or fashion or another. And sometimes you have to, like, do that whole squiggly thing to get the ink down into it, because either A, it wasn't primed correctly, or it's just been a while, and so you need to give it a good, or the pen just hates you, so you just toss it away, you know, one of the two. Or maybe it's just the paper you're writing on. Who knows? Could be. Yeah. Could be anything. Maybe the ink is just too dried out that it doesn't want to write anymore. See? Like, you can just eventually pull it out for the most part. But yeah, you get those whole bits. Ballpoint pens are kind of the old reliable, so, like, you even get fancier ones where, let's see. Yeah, that one. So you can get something that's nicer, like a zebra, and that'll come out. And something nice about a lot of these more expensive ones is that they are very refillable. So if you unscrew the lid tip here, you can pull out the ink, see how much you're using, and if it doesn't get caught, you can switch out the refill. So, and I mean, even some of these, like, branded pens have the same deal, where you can pull off the tip and it's refillable somewhat. So it does have a reuse case, being as they're a nicer pen. So, yeah. And then that kind of leads into like some of the other options. So like the erasable pens, they've got this cool nib on the tip somewhere to where you can actually erase the ink away. So these are the Pilot friction pens, and so you can sit here, right, and then rub it away because the gel in the ink is kind of special in such a way that it can be frictioned away, hence the friction name, I guess, you know? It doesn't write quite the same, so it's kind of got like this hollow write to it versus like other ballpoint pens, but it's a pen for its intended purpose. It's more used for like these reusable notebook deals where you can erase the ink away, so I can write on it, and then if I spray it, and you can see it writes quite a bit differently on here too, more like a normal ballpoint, but then I can take it and then I can spray it away if I wet it down with water. But yeah, you can just take this and erase it then with water and wipe it down and reuse it. So the gel is made in such a way that it's basically wet erase on the right material. And obviously this wouldn't be recommended on something like a Write in the Rain notebook or something like that. So you probably wouldn't use it in something like this, obviously. But on the topic of wait, no, I forgot one. This is an Office Depot pen. How did I leave this out? So, yeah, you do get the weird red pens. So, and they come in multiple colors, which leads perfectly into the unopened pen category. So, obviously, I went to my local Asian store and I picked up a pen, but you see these kinds of pens like all over the place to where it's got like the multicolored, and so you pull it down, you get like black, then you get blue, and then you get your red. And these ones are nice because they provide all the colors in one tidy little package. So you can write with different colors depending on what you need to take notes on or highlight certain things, circle certain things in different colors. But then you've also got, come on, your other standard pens. Or wait, no, this is mechanical pencil. That's right. And mechanical pencils take forever to come out. But yeah, pencils pretty much always right unless you break the lead. In which case, yeah, and then you have to pop it back in. Oh, okay. So now, and then finally one more bonus gel pen. I've got a whole set of these particular ones. I don't remember what brand it is, but it's just a whole set of colors of these gel pens that I'm still working through that I got a few years ago. But again, they have the same use as using for different circles or whatnot, depending on how you use them, highlighting things and stuff like that. And then this one is a liquid gel pen that I picked up a while ago. I don't know if it still works. Yep, still works. Actually got it on my mission. And again, red stuff, writes pretty easy. It seems to be mostly plastic construction. A lot of ballpoint pens seem to use metal, whereas some few of them use plastic, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, so the other pen that I've been getting into are not that one. This is a Gundam pen, but are fountain pens. So I've came across a few fountain pen videos on YouTube, and I was in the budget store and I found this set of highlighters in the store. And so you've got the highlighter on one end so you can highlight there, but then on the other end you've got your fountain pen. And it seems like the cartridges in these don't play well with other pens. So trying to interchange, cartridges won't quite work, or sticking other cartridges in. But it may take a second. It is very budget, and the ink is actually kind of low. I was just looking at it earlier. So, yeah. These are basically almost empty, these two, of all their ink. So that's why they're kind of weird. And then the tip, if you can... I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the red on the tip. These are like very, very budget pens. These are the only two of this particular kind out of the 5 that I've actually loaded up the ink cartridges into, because I figure I'd rather not spend the time and effort trying to go through the ink before it dries out on all the pens at once. And so, yeah, here they are. The blue one, for some reason, seems to write a bit better than the red one, but that's a whole other issue. These are pretty simple. If I could find cartridges that fit in them, then I would, and I'd probably continue to use them, but they do have like shorter ink cartridges. But yeah, you can see that it's kind of low on that blue. And then of course the highlighter on the other end is a purple. None of these pens that I picked up that way are black or anything. They're like weird. You've got some green, orange, purple, if I can grab it. So they're kind of really cheap, and you can feel it just with the way that they write somewhat, and the colors that they picked for it are very not standard. Like, I've seen ink cartridges for fountain pens on Amazon that are darker colored, and these are just pretty much all lighter colored. And I don't get why, unless I could be wrong, but I haven't taken the time to load up the cartridge. So you'd basically open it up when you get a pen fresh. You've got this nice ink cartridge in there, so maybe it's a bit darker, and then you just push into there. But I'm not going to do that with this one. And then you'd have to wait a minute or two for it to flow into the nib, through the feed, and all that, and yeah. So there was another one that I picked up. I found it local Hobby Lobby, same time I picked up this boy and my real grade Gundam for almost half off. So what's really cool is this one actually came with an extra cartridge, but I haven't loaded this one up yet because I'm still working through these boys. But again, this one doesn't seem to have a barrel that fits cartridges very well. And I'd have to look at it again. I think, could I get away with that? So these are a bunch of ink cartridges that I picked up for the Asfine fountain pen that I'll cover in just a second. And one of them burst in shipping, and I don't know why, but I still have like 29 others. But you can see, yeah, see, that's a different, if it'll focus. It's a different size. So here's the Hongjian sized one, and then here's the other one from Hobby Lobby. Oh, and This actually looks very blue versus the black, but anyway. So I would follow the same thing. I'd just like push it in till it like pops and seals, and then I would basically start to rip and roar. So this one was cheaper still. Not as cheap as these, but still cheaper. And I haven't quite tried it out yet to see how it flows. But you can see the nib is a wee bit different from the cheaper ones a little bit. So the one that I've mostly been carrying around with me is this Asfine. It was like a 15... What? No, wait. No. Close to a $20 purchase, I think, actually. So it's got a black nib on it. And it actually writes... Seems to be a fully metal case, but it writes really well. I didn't really have to fight it at all when I was starting with it, and I haven't fought with it at all since, like I have with the cheaper budget ones. So I've also been looking into the barrel to see how quickly I'm going through the ink, just kind of as like a gauge of pace, and you can see that it's quite hard to tell. I've got to like get the light in the right direction to actually get a good look at the ink in there. But it's still somewhat full in spite of my switching between ballpoint and fountain. The fountain pen I found really nice for certain applications, like if there's something where you're venting into a book, then fountain pens provide that scratchy feel to it when you're writing on paper about something, to where it just like relieves everything much quicker than a ballpoint pen will, because you're sitting there with a ballpoint pen and it's actually a decently smooth writing experience. Where'd that other one go to? I think I shoved it away. It's like, whereas you've got this smooth, non-gritty experience just rolling across paper, whereas with a fountain pen, you're sitting here, even with this one that's really much nicer, and you can feel the tension and friction, and so as you're fighting that, as you're writing out stuff, it kind of, in a lot of ways, is this cathartic relief of anger that, yeah, it's just weird. And then when you compare the inks too, it's actually quite bold with how it lays out. So you can see like, I mean, there's still somewhat breaks depending on how you lift your pen, but in spite of it being smooth, you still feel that friction from the fountain pen, and you don't feel that as much with the ballpoint, is my point. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, boost the video up, share this video with your friends. If you found it informative or you just want to chat, I've got plenty of places in the description, Discord, Guilded, and what have you. Check those out, and I will see you guys in the next one.